If I showed you these two guns and asked you to spot the 1911, you'd probably think it was a trick question. I guess it is pretty obvious. This Ruger P944 uses the same Browning swinging link short recoil system at the heart of the classic 1911, whereas this Star Model B Super is built on a closed cam path unlocking system more like a Browning high power. You'll hear me call it a cam block system, but I don't know if that's an accepted term. That means this double-action Ruger Wonder 40 is more like a 1911 than the Model B Super. Yes, I'm being pedantic, but I'm doing it to make a point. The Model B Super looks like a 1911 at first blush, but under the hood it's got some upgrades. Star Bonifacio Echeverria was a Spanish firearms manufacturer whose doors sadly closed in the mid-1990s. Their most well-known products were a series of 1911 clones, the Model A chambered for 9mm Largo, and the Model B chambered for 9mm Parabellum. The reason for Star's modern fame in the US is the widespread use of the Model B as a stand-in for 1911s in action movies. For a long time, 9mm blanks were more reliable than .45 blanks. The Model A and B both use the swinging link system like a real 1911, the only difference between them being caliber. The Model B Super is a total modernization of the 1911. It retains the same ergonomics, controls, and outward appearance as the original Model B, but with totally updated internals. Most significant is the change from a swinging link recoil action to the aforementioned cam block system. In a 1911 or an early Ruger P series like this 944, the barrel is controlled by this small linkage. As it recoils, the link cams the barrel down to unlock the slide. With a closed cam unlocking system or cam block system, the barrel has a specially shaped camming surface below the chamber. Under recoil, the barrel travels rearward until the cam surface hits a cam block, forcing it to drop. You can get an idea for the cam path by looking at the cutout in the barrel. Some variation on this cam block is used in basically all modern semi-auto pistols, like all of these. Nobody designs new guns that use swinging links anymore. The market has spoken in favor of the cam block, except for outliers like simple straight blowback designs, or whatever kooky shit Beretta concocts for their guns. Or used to, back before they started making a basic bitch striker-fired tactical Toblerone like everybody else. The Model B Super has a single-action lockwork similar to a 1911 and a manual thumb safety as well. It has an external extractor, which is a feature found on some modern 1911s if you care for it. There's also a visible and tactile loaded chamber indicator on top of the slide, an odd feature for the 1970s, and a useful takedown lever on the right side of the frame. The Star omits the grip safety from the 1911, but adds an annoying magazine safety instead. The grip safety is what makes it a... No, JMB didn't want a grip safety on the 1911. It was added only at the insistence of some cavalry jerks too stubborn to see that their usefulness had reached its nadir. That's why JMB's subsequent designs don't have it, and why it doesn't get used today, except on Croatian guns with an artificially inflated price tag attached to match Springfield Armory's outsized ego. And yeah, the high power did have a magazine disconnect. My Model B Super is a Spanish Army surplus gun made in 1973, according to the stamp on the trigger guard, and imported after the end of its useful life by PW Arms in Redmond, Washington. Mine shoots very well and has been mostly reliable. When I first got it, the magazine was full of gunk and it had some feeding issues. That was easily resolved, and now the gun feeds and extracts just fine. It has developed another more serious issue that took a bit of sleuthing to figure out. The safety lever has become worn in its old age and high round count. The side effect is that the safety lever is actually pushed out from the frame by the detent spring. This puts enough friction on the hammer to prevent it from falling unless the safety is pushed physically inwards or held all the way down past the point of the detent. I'll have to get a replacement safety lever, which will probably be used and pulled from another parts gun, so hopefully it won't be as worn as this one. In the meantime, I can shoot it by holding my thumb over the safety lever, which is something 1911 shooters do sometimes anyway to prevent the safety from riding up. In the event that the hammer drops after the trigger has been released, the half-cock notch catches it. A bit spooky and definitely not safe. As for the shooting dynamics of the Model B Super, they're great. It's a big, heavy metal gun with a long slide and sight radius. The gun is extremely comfortable and has a light, crisp, single-action trigger, kinda like a 1911. The trigger on the Star pistols rotates around an axis point, instead of moving straight back like a 1911 trigger, but the effect isn't that noticeable since the travel is short and the pull weight is very light. The sights are interesting, but not my favorite. The front is a white dot, and the rear has a single dot as well, positioned in the center line below the notch. The sights are profiled like 1911 GI sights, but that rear dot gives you a little something extra to help line the sights up. Something about the way my crummy eyeballs work makes these sights hard to use. I know some people do like this straight 8 style of sights, and Heine makes them for all sorts of guns to this day. I find it way harder to line the dots up on the vertical plane than I would with a normal blacked out rear sight or a 3-dot arrangement. The end result is weird horizontal stringing, since I can't repeat the sight picture very well. Your mileage may vary, some people love these sights. The Model B Super still shoots great thanks to the trigger, and the size and weight make it very controllable. The magazines are single stack and hold 9 rounds. You can tell they're sized for 9mm Largo and are much longer than they need to be for 9mm Parabellum. The magazine release is a nicely textured, nicely accessible button, and the mags drop free easily. I don't have any spares because they're not really that cheap, and I don't feel the need to do magazine change drills with a 50-year-old Army surplus pistol.
The good life, let's go on a living spree.
The Model B Super breaks down a bit differently than a 1911. With the magazine removed, rotate the disassembly lever all the way forward. The slide pops off just like that. You don't have to remove the slide lock lever or anything. From there, you can remove the recoil assembly from the slide, which includes a retaining cap for the barrel bushing and a partial length guide rod. That short guide rod means you can do an unsafe brass check, just like in a Michael Mann movie. Sweet. With the recoil spring and retaining cap removed, the barrel bushing rotates to the side, then pulls out, as does the barrel. That's most of what you'll need to do to the upper assembly. As for the lower portion, if you do remove the grip panels to swap them or just clean, keep in mind that they prevent the safety lever from over-rotating. If the left side grip panel is off, you can rotate the safety past the fire position, allowing the detent and detent spring to fly out. If you value your eyeballs and you don't want to lose the detent, keep your thumb over it while you rotate the safety. The annoying magazine disconnect safety can be removed fairly easily. Just drop the takedown lever and remove the slide, then use a tiny flathead screwdriver to rotate the screw in the magazine disconnect, and push it out the right side of the gun. It makes the gun more usable for sure, but leaves behind a hole in the frame that's annoying, and I suppose is also a potential ingress point for range crap. I don't see the Model B Super as a practical gun anyway, so I just left it in. The Model B Super really is like a 1911 Mark II, a product-improved version of the 1911. It's easier to disassemble, has an arguably more robust action, and is chambered in a better caliber. Hey, cool your jets, I know what you're thinking. But the 1911 and Model B are military pistols, and the 9mm is a better military caliber. You can get into all sorts of caliber angst if you want, but remember that the military already made this decision years ago. Militaries don't need the most possible stopping power, they need enough stopping power in the smallest, lightest, cheapest package. For you, carrying 45 instead of 9 means a sore back and maybe some PT down the line, but the logistical impact for an entire military is huge. Ah, what the hell. Arguing about caliber is fun. Let's do that. The 9 versus 45 argument is one of shot placement versus shot displacement. Fans of the 45 argue that a big, heavy bullet brings more to the table than a smaller, faster bullet. There's no replacement for shot displacement. That's not entirely wrong. Better shot placement requires practice, patience, skill, and mostly just luck. Bigger shot displacement just requires you to grab a different box of ammo off the shelf. 9mm is for the folks who think capacity is king, and I get it. More bullets is more chances to succeed. A Glock 19 has, to put it coarsely, a clip full of do-overs. The whole argument is spurious anyway. While 9, 40, and 45 are arguing amongst themselves, any given rifle cartridge is like, "Whoa, I didn't see you way over there at the bottom of the muzzle energy chart." Even a modest intermediate cartridge produces quadruple the energy of an average handgun cartridge. Arguing about handgun calibers is like fighting over last place. You already got BTFO'd. Just try to accept your participation ribbon with quiet dignity. And me, I carry a 380, so what the hell do I care? Well, folks, to settle this argument once and for all, I have ex-US Marine and current LAPD detective Cole Phelps on the line. Mr. Phelps, what do you think of the 1911?
Junk.
Wow, an incisive critique. Would you ever carry one?
Maybe if... No.
Interesting. Does the 1911 still have a place alongside more modern designs?
Seems irrelevant.
I see. Would you agree that the 1911 had an influence on other pistols?
Nothing significant.
What about its appeal among competition shooters?
No good to me.
I'm honestly surprised, Mr. Phelps. Are you saying the 1911 wouldn't be useful even if no other gun was available?
Not much help.
Incredible. Can you think of any reason to buy a 1911 in 2018?
I don't think so.